property investing is like the national sport in this country.
If it's the national sport, why can't most Australians afford to play?
Do we consider it a rich man's game than a poor man's game? I could feel if I put a cape on and a wig, I'm Batman. You know what I mean? You've never seen me and Batman in the same room.
I have not, Moses.
So, I was watching a video about property, and one of the comments I saw on this video said, property investing is like the national sport in this country. And that hit me. So, I wanted to see what your take is on that.
Well, I think if it's the national sport, why can't most Australians afford to play?
Personally, Gen Z are the losers in this sport because they've had the least time to be playing it.
Yeah.
It's a time game because you could have bought anything, and today you would have done exceptionally well because you had the time. And they say it's not timing of the market when you come to property investing. They say time in the market because historically property prices across has gone up, some more than others, but all of them have gone up.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think land is the most important commodity that you can get, especially here in Sydney. We are landlocked. We have the ocean on the east. We have the Royal National Park on the south and the Blue Mountains on the west, right? There's only so much land there's ever going to be. That's the reason why land has continuously gone up for the past 200 years, right? It is a very safe investment. It's encouraged. Everyone does it.
Little barrier to entry. No little knowledge required to consume it.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's on social media. It's on TV. It's encouraged by the government. I think it has become. I would disagree and say not only of Australia. I would say it all across the globe. It is one of the safest things that you can get. People used to get gold.
I heard there's Bill Gates, the biggest top 5, top 10 billionaires in the world. He's the biggest owner of land in America. And you would think that he's got enough shares in Microsoft to sustain himself. But of course, even he believes in land. And he's not even land pro. He's pro technology.
Funny that you say that. I heard this thing about McDonald's, right? The reason why they're so successful and why they can expand so quickly is because they own the land that they build the restaurant on, right? It's their business of owning all of these places as opposed to like a petrol station where they would just rent off the owner. It's not so much the business for them that's making money, it is the land. They're the biggest owners of real estate as a company. So if the food places are doing it, right, all the businesses are starting to do it now, your neighbours are probably doing it, I think it's absolutely the sport of Australia.
Well, if it is the sport of Australia, then do we consider it a rich man's game than a poor man's game? Because if it's a rich man's game, then you're sort of looking at things like, well, to bring it back into like a sort of sport view, croquet, horse racing, very niche sort of market. Whereas a poor man's game like football or soccer, but it's football, let's be real. If it's football, you get a bottle, you get a bag, you kick the bottle into the bag, suddenly you're playing football. Whereas if it's a rich man's game, you got to go out, buy a horse, training lessons, this and that, So I don't think if we do consider it as Australia's sport, I don't think we can consider it as a poor man's game where sort of everyone just jumps in, sort of, I want this, I want that, let's have a look at this, let's have a look at that. It's very much a rich man's game where if you're engraved in that sort of market, if you're developed in that sort of market, then it's definitely for you, right? Because if you look at something like if you're buying a property, then Jimmy, who's, 6, 7 years old, isn't going to go, how do I buy a property on Google? You know what I mean? He's looking up, how do I play Roblox and where can I buy Roblox bucks? You know what I mean? So it's something you have to be indoctrinated into, especially in the property market. The average Australian isn't actually well versed into the property market. They just want a home.
Yeah, don't you think it could be overstating the popularity considering maybe 20% of people invest in property in Australia? So, it's pretty concentrated among high earners and older generations. So could you really call it the national sport, or is it the sport for boomers, and the top, 10% wage earners,
It's very funny that you say that you guys think it's not as common as you. I feel like it is extremely common. It could be the circles that are rowing, right? But I feel like everyone feels like they're a valuer here. Everyone knows what property is worth. Everyone wants to do a development or flip, buy an old place, flip it, sell it, build a duplex, right? I know it's very rich of me saying that, right? Building a duplex, but it's I feel like it's very like on the news. You have murders, Donald Trump, something about the housing market. It's in the news. I think it's everywhere. Everyone wants to do it. I agree that not everyone can do it. It's probably more a rich man's sport these days, but I think everyone wants to play the game.
Everyone wants to play the game, but you sort of say everyone feels like a valuer. You can feel like whatever you want to be, right? There's no doubt about that. I could walk into the park down the road and say, I feel like Lionel Messi, but I'm not Lionel Messi. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I could feel, if I put a cape on and a wig, I'm Batman. You know what I mean? You've never seen me and Batman in the same room.
I have not, Moses.
But just to carry on the point, like, you can feel like whatever you are, but at the end of the day, unless you've got experience and certificates to show that this is what I am and this is what I'm doing, if you don't have proof to back you up, right, then you can't be considered a player in the sport. It's the same way where if you look at...
Well, do you have to be a chef to know food tastes good?
Well, I think if you're a chef, you've got a more defined palate. You know what makes something taste good. You know what makes something taste bad. You don't have to be a chef per se to know if something tastes good or bad. But if a chef says to me, I made you a dish, steak and eggs, and then average, Julian walks into the door and he goes, oh yeah, I made it as well. Are you going to pick Julian's dish or the chef's dish?
No, it depends on how Julian made it.
Depends on what Julian looks like.
Yeah, I think everyone wants to be in it. I think it's a very desirable sport. I think, and you said 6 and 7 year olds aren't talking about property, and maybe not that young, but I feel like in school, right? I remember when I was there in like business studies, economics. It's a topic, right? Interest rates are a
But
topic.
not everyone did business studies and economics.
But you know what, man, Australian sport, okay, the reason why it's still the national sport, I think, is because your mum and dad did it, and it's so important to mum and dad, right?
It is, yeah.
That's why it's so important to us now, because mum or dad says, auntie, uncle says that this is what you need to do, right? Maybe in past this generation, it's no longer even a question. Now there's a separation in the sport. It's like, that sport is no longer national. It's only for the wealthy. But right now, I think it still is that, parents in their 50s, kids in their 20s, very much. Parents in their 50s, if they've got a property, they're encouraging their kids to get a property, right? But then when you guys go through this, I think the next generation of 20-year-olds and teens right now, when they don't have access to that, and there's going to be a lot of people that miss out, I think, no longer it's about that. It's like, hey, you need to do something else to create the next level of wealth. And it may be that, hey, you've got to start the next AI company.
That's true.
Yeah.
If you look at people nowadays, especially Gen Z, 19, 20-year-olds, the way they set their foot in the door for the property market, they're waiting for their parents to conquer it. And then they just inherit the property. Then they probably might have their own renting apartment. They move into their parents' property. They rent out their apartment that they already own. And then that's how they sort of set their foot in the door. So does it become a point now where if it's Australian sport, the only way to get access is through genes or inheritance,
And, of course, they have these models now to encourage that, because the government actually encourages it through the parental guarantor, where you could take a portion of your parents' property and use it as a equity piece, collateral to put into your property. And so they encourage this very much to pass on this this idea of property investing and owning a property is very much
but
inherent in this.
I think maybe there is a slight bias view. I mean, Anthony, you say, everyone is talking about it. Everyone's doing it. You're hearing all about RBA. Everyone's talking about it. Do you think you go out to, I don't know, Alice Springs and ask someone, do you think they know what the RBA cash rate is right
I've
now?
never been to Alice Springs.
He hasn't put outside a punchbowl.
Wouldn't fit in so well in Alice Springs.
Like I said, it could be the circles that are rowing, but I feel like growing up, it's always, you're encouraged, like Twan saying, buy a place and pay down the house. Maybe not so much invest, but it's very much like there's a stigma around renting, right? It's like someone says they rent, someone says they own. They're like, oh man, he's done well. He's a good guy. And the renter's like, oh, lazy. There's a stigma around that. So what I was trying to say was I feel like people always want to be in the game. They want to be a property owner. They are heavily incentivized to. Their parents are telling them, the government's telling them, he's stamp duty free, buy a house, buy a house, buy a house.
Incentive.
And it's very much encouraged. Now, like Tuan said, maybe next generation, people are now accustomed to renting. Why tie yourself down? What if you want to live by the beach and in 10 years' time you want to go out west? Rent, see you later, done, and move houses. So maybe people are going to become more, nomadic in that. But we're never going to know until the next, couple of decades pass.
Now, I think now, I was looking at, this Labubu, right? Like it's like, and someone, I think it was an article about Labubu is the trend of the people that can't afford to collect, because no one can afford, Hermes, Louis Vuitton, houses, and it's so out of reach. Now they've created this, sub-collecting category of affordable collecting.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. It costs you $300 or whatever it is. It's a lot of money, but in the scheme of versus a house deposit, $300 is accessible. It's like, it's only a bit of my wage each week, and I can put that towards plastic. That's a collectible. That's resonates with, rarity and commodity. And what else is rare and commoditized like that?
Yeah.
Land, houses. So it's almost like this subsection of this affordable for, Gen Z.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
And there's even a resale market for them and everything, but Labubu.
Is it? Yeah.
Knockoff Labubus.
Yeah, wow.
So I think that's but look, it's good to hear different takes on what is the Australian, sport, and I feel it is right now because everyone's talking about it, and I don't know if it's always going to be like that. I think it's going to diminish the conversation of being that, but I think at the moment probably feels that way.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, look, everyone wants to be an investor at the end of the day. Everyone wants to see a return on investment and a profit. If it's not a property, it's a Labubu. Before Labubus, it was Bear Bricks. Before Bear Bricks, it was Pokemon cards. Before Pokemon cards, I was probably toads or rocks on the floor, but
Hog.
marbles. But everyone wants to be an investor at the end of the day. So I think it definitely is, I think, Australia's sport, but it's just more so how do you get access to the sport, I think, is what people are trying to figure out.
Yeah.